Hello, I'm Roberta Gamble, Partner and Vice President with Frost & Sullivan. And today I'm joined by Axiad co-founder and co-CEO, Bassam Al-Khalidi. Hi Bassam, thank you for joining us today.
Hi Roberta, thank you.
Users use their personal smartphones and laptops to access important business data. Day and night, they use their personal devices to access the cloud. And they share information over their devices with customers, with colleagues, with suppliers, and with other third parties. These users also demand convenience and access and authentication. How worried should companies be about using traditional password login credentials, and can they easily migrate to MFAs?
It's a clear known problem today in the industry that passwords is not something that we can rely on for our day-to-day in business digital interactions, right? So we've gone through what we call leveraging MFA is really the basic groundwork for security. That's like putting a lock on your door, right? That's the first step. The problem with MFAs is the enablement of the MFA or the deployment of the MFA. If that's complex, it adds frustration to the end user. If it's hard to do that for the end user by themselves, it creates a disruption of business and therefore a loss of revenue or loss of productivity. And then once you have that type of MFA in your hand, if you can't deal with the day-to-day scenarios or the life cycle of it, there's something wrong with it, I need a new one, I lost it, it was stolen, it was damaged, whatever that case may be, not being able to empower the end user to do it themselves creates even more help desk tickets and therefore more pain points. The way we see it is when people try to go away from passwords, the first thing they do is they'll go and buy a vault door and put it on their door, which is great. But the problem with that is that if you're not locking down all aspects of your perimeter, and if you have your windows open or your back door open, then that really doesn't help much. So it's more about investing in the right solution that can really cover the basis when we talk about multi-factor authentication.
Sure. Could you tell me a little bit about your solution?
A user can go to one single location and enable any type of authenticator they need depending on the use case they're trying to address. And depending also on the risk level that they have within the organization and what they're trying to access. So from there, they can enable their security token, their smart card, their mobile device, whatever they need from an authenticator point of view in a simple action, and that's what we call a one-click issuance. What happens if my token is lost, damaged, stolen? What happens if my token is expired? What happens? There's a magnitude of different lifecycle issues. Rather than going and opening a help desk ticket or waiting for IT, you can actually go to anybody within your circle. It could be a coworker, could be a supervisor. That coworker, supervisor, let's say it's myself, I can log into the Axiad My Circle, and from there I can just help you out very, very simply. So I would just type in your name, and then our system would automatically recognize what is wrong with your device, what's wrong with your token. As we're both not IT professionals, it would just simply provide the proper remediation of what needs to be done and how to do it. So not only do we want a strong adoption rate for users to enable their token, but we also want to make sure they use it. And that's where AirLock comes in. AirLock will allow the organization to enforce the use of the authenticator that the user is enabled with. So in that context, for example, if the user on day one, it's their first day in their organization, they get their device, they would get their AD credentials as an example to authenticate. So as soon as they authenticate for the first time, AirLock will detect they're using a password for the first time. It will load them into a limited session. All they can do is enable their authenticator. And after that, AirLock would not allow them to use the password anymore, and now they're forced to use their MFA. Well, what happens if I get my token? What happens if I lock it? What happens? All the different scenarios. And again, that's where AirLock can help in.
Thank you, Bassam. That was very insightful. It gives me hope that there are ways that companies can harden their authentication, reduce risk, and not compromise the user experience.